You might have heard there, Senator Dianne Feinstein, among those saying Friday would simply be too soon for a vote. Now, keep in mind, we went into this with the understanding that a one-week FBI investigation and then a vote. So I don't know what's changed here, but it is what it is. Former FBI Assistant Director Steve Pomerantz joins us, also former Justice Department official John Yoo. Welcome to all. Steve, with you first, is it likely that the FBI can wrap up what it has to wrap up and do what it has to do by Friday if, in fact, the directive has widened a little bit to include all accusers and all witnesses or those who can or cannot corroborate what those accusers are saying by Friday?
Neil, if you caught me smirking there, it's because you started out with can they do what they have to do and et cetera. The problem is we and they don't really know what they have to do at this point. The worst two things you can do to impact on a quality investigation is to set an arbitrary deadline, and B, try to limit somehow the scope of an investigation before it even starts. And in this case, we've got both things that have been done to the FBI. There's no way to know what they're going to uncover on day 2 of the investigation that may then require them to go into day 3, day 4, day 5. You just don't know that. And secondly, you don't know what new allegations may or may not arise as a result of what they do day to day. So it's just those are not. This was doomed from the beginning in the way it was constructed. And if you add the politics to it, the fact that there's certain members of that committee who would like this thing to go on, till next October. This is a very, very difficult. I couldn't imagine a more difficult set of circumstances for the Bureau as they move forward on this.
And, John, you to that point, I mean, when you have senators like Richard Blumenthal, whether you agree or disagree that it's a waste of time or whatever, has criticized the deadline, even the scope of the probe, when, in fact, he had signed on to it last week. And I'm wondering, no matter what is said in this probe or who they reached out to, whether it includes all 3 accusers and those who can or cannot substantiate their claims. So far, we understand no one's claims have been corroborated or close to it. What are we left with on Friday?
I think there's no way to satisfy the Democrats because, as Mr. Pomerantz said, as I think your reporter said, the Democrats keep moving the deadline back farther and farther because they want to have the investigation continue to go on. So I actually think having a deadline of some kind is not just good politics. I think that's the normal way the Senate does business. This is not a criminal investigation. The Senate has to say, we've decided we have to take a vote on this day, and we're asking the FBI for its help. The FBI doesn't work for the Senate. The Senate is requesting its assistance through the president and saying, just give us as much information as possible. It's not a criminal investigation. This is the Senate performing its constitutional advice and consent function. And so I think that they have the right to set their own schedule. And so if Senator McConnell wants the vote to be on Friday, then I think the Senate, in its own judgment, can take the vote on Friday.
Steve, as a former FBI guy, maybe you can help me with this. I mean, there have been 6 prior FBI investigations on Brett Kavanaugh over the years. So this would be an addendum to those or that very last one, right? So there is conceivably an investigation here that focuses on these charges from these women. The president tried to make very clear yesterday that he's not limiting anything here. They want to get to anyone and everyone attached to those women and their charges. Fine. Is that doable by Friday?
Not only can I not answer that, but I don't think anybody can answer that, Neil, in all fairness again, because you don't know what the second person they interview is going to say. You can make up any hypotheticals you want. It's not possible. It's simply not possible. Now, it is true that you can arbitrarily end the investigation to meet some deadline. You can say, give us what you got by Friday and we'll take a vote. That's understandable and doable.
But
now,
Steve,
of course,
in that process, I'm sorry, but I just want to be clear. Can they ask the person, do you know anyone else who can corroborate what you're saying? Are they given names and numbers of people to talk to? And then if they are those people free not to talk to the FBI? And is there punishment for those who don't?
I would hope that they would ask that question. That's a logical question to ask on every interview. Do you know somebody else that can corroborate this? And they have an obligation and a duty to ask that question and to follow up on that. Now, there's no compulsion in this case or any other short of a grand jury, and that's a criminal matter, which is not applicable here. There's no way to compel anybody to give you information if they don't want to in a case like this. If somebody lies to you during an investigation like this, that's another story. But you cannot compel people to give you information.
So, John, what are we left with likely by Friday? I don't see it moving the needle that much. I do see that the focus seems to be reading many in the media and everywhere that they want to say or prove that Brett Kavanaugh lied about the degree to which he drank in high school and college, and taking the leap that there were many times, according to one friend, where he was trashed or whatever. What obviously Democrats are trying to get at during the hearing was he trashed to the point that he blacked out, and something like this, Dr. Ford charges where he attacked a woman, attacked her, that could have happened. That's what they want to leave out there. But even that, it says he might have understated the degree to which he drank. Is that enough to say, aha, you lied to us? Is that it, along the high crimes and other things we associate with those who lie? Is it even in the same ballpark?
I think that's the right question to be asking. This is not an investigation of a man to find out everything he did going all the way back to high school or even before. Where's the line going to be drawn? How far back do we want to? Are we going to look at everything he ever did? What the Senate is to decide is this person have a fit character to be on the Supreme Court? I think by Friday, they've already seen him in person. They've already had him testify under oath. What they want to do is to decide whether he's been lying to them or not, whether he has integrity, character, and experience that would verify what we've already seen from his record as a judge and as a government official. I don't think that having the investigation go a month or 2 months is going to make a difference. I agree with you on that point. I think on Friday they'll have all the information that they need to make that judgment. Already, all the Democrats have decided they don't care what comes back in the FBI investigation. They've already said they've decided they're going to vote against him. And I think all but 3 Republicans have pretty much decided they will vote for him. So on Friday, to answer to the bottom line for your question, Niels, it really is up to 3 senators, Senator Flake, Murkowski, and Collins, whether they see anything in the FBI investigation that changes their mind away from their initial support for Judge Kavanaugh.
All right. Steve, you know this process so well, and there's a lot, to your point, we don't know, but it seems to me a lot of the focus in the, the press has been about the judge's honesty about the degree to which he drank in high school and college. Is that what this whole thing has come down to? Because that really seems like a big waste of time.
Yeah, and going back to your last question, he has been the subject of these background investigations 6 times before. I am certain as I can be, that during the course of those investigations, one of the things you're taught to deal with in a background investigation is a person's character. So I have to think that the issue, now whether it went back to high school or not, I can't say. But during the course of those investigations, you talk to people who knew the nominee in this case for long periods of time, and you ask questions like that. You ask if they know anything that would be negative about the person's character. So you got to think those questions have been asked and answered many times over. This should be focused on the very specifics of these allegations and nothing beyond that, in my judgment.
Well, we're not there, Steve, apparently, to your earlier point, and John, to yours as well. So whether this moves the needle or provides cover, we'll see later on in the week. Gentlemen, thank you both very, very much.
Thanks, you.
Just